Good afternoon and welcome to ESO's Fireside Chats. Time for another discussion here. My fire is going, waiting to get dinner going. It was a little slow in going. We had a big storm here last week. My firewood's a little damp, so taking longer. So I'm recording two videos at once. So I already did my first one, and it went pretty good. I didn't have to do 20 takes. No dog knocking over the camera, Colum and Sister Pearl running through screaming they're going to kill each other, so went pretty good. So I'm going to be ambitious and try for two today. So this one follows on really closely with the conversations that sparked the last video. And this video, we're talking about, in this episode, Pathfinders when you don't own your own church. Or maybe your church is not a big traditional building, like it's a storefront church. It's not, you don't have the big fellowship hall, the green grass, the parking lot that only your cars use. How do you do Pathfinders in this situation? So, it takes some ingenuity and some creativity. And I'm going to talk over a few of my ideas, and hopefully they help you out a bit here. So, here we go. Pathfinders, when you don't have your own building, it does limit you. So let's say you're in a strip mall, there's a nail salon next door, and half the women in town are getting their nails done while you're trying to have church, right? You have no parking lot to do drill in. On a Wednesday, you might own and lease that spot in the strip mall, but because you don't have a spot, you can't do drill in your own parking lot, right? Because you're sharing with the salon, the health food store, the GameStop. You have to compete with all these, right? You can't just say, you know what, Wednesday night, you guys not just close early so we have room in the parking lot because our kids want to practice drill. It's not happening, right? And of course, some of your churches, you guys are renting your churches from other churches, right? So you only have it for a certain number of hours on Sabbath. You don't have it on Wednesday night or Sunday, right? You can't come back Sunday. They're doing church on Sunday, right? You can't do drill in the parking lot and crafts in the fellowship hall. They're using it, right? You can't use it. They rented it to you for 4 hours on Sabbath, and that's what you got, right? And that's what you're going to make do with. So, the question was, how do we do Pathfinders in these situations? Here's a few things. One, family. You can meet at a house. Quite a few clubs do this, but there's pitfalls to be aware here. When meeting at a house, we talk about in Pathfinder basic staff training and leadership training, on-site and off-site activities. On-site's at the church, but you rented a church for 4 hours. In those 4 hours, it was on-site. The rest of the time, off-site? Well, maybe. It depends on how your board and your church does stuff, right? If your church sets it up that so-and-so's house is where we're doing Pathfinders, and the church has inspected it just like it do its own classrooms, like, okay, this is the house we're doing it. This is the yard they're doing it. The yard has been found safe, right? No metal stakes sticking out of the ground, glass bottles broken around. Like my house used to be a corner vacant lot, outside the fence all the way around, broken glass. We've been picking it up for 15 years since we moved here. I think we got most of it, and something turns over a little bit of dirt, and boom, there's more glass, right? That's a consideration, right? I have a 1 acre yard. You think I'd be a perfect place to do Pathfinders? Or would I, right? I have a pool in my back right there. You go, yeah, pool, the kids are going to love it. Oh, wait, supervision, the kids are going to drown? Big question, you got to answer this. Well, if I was doing Pathfinders right here on my back patio here, and I was out here the whole time, and the other staff would be here the whole time, pool supervised. Shouldn't be an issue? Maybe. You'd have to talk that out with your church, right? Some churches you'd be like, yeah, okay, we have 5 adults and 7 children. That's more supervision than the average get together in the backyard probably would have. Pool's probably safe to have back there, right? So you're like, okay, you're safe. Well, I got a shed over here. I don't have a padlock on it. Kids could get in there and maybe get into stuff. That'd be a red flag, right? I mean, a kid could get in there and get into a lawn chemical, fertilizer or something and die. That'd be bad. So maybe my shed's not a good thing. But that's easy fix, right? I put a padlock on it, poof, we're fixed, right? So your church needs to be critical of that off-site location to make it an on-site location. Like, okay, we are doing Pathfinders here. How can we make it safe? It's if your church is meeting in a house, that happens, right? You know, some of our smaller churches, 3, 4, 5, 6 families. You have church in the living room. The dining room is fellowship hall / meeting room. Board meeting happens around your family table, right? Pathfinders is out back. This is the on-site. We have to make certain, though, that we are as diligent about making sure it's safe as we would at our church. And you have to ask yourself questions. Is this safe or is this not safe? Once it's all safe and the board has approved it and everybody's good with it, good to go. This is now our new Pathfinder site. I got grass room. I got my little cement pad here. I can put out some craft tables. We can do some good stuff here, right? All right, great place for Pathfinders until winter. And a little cold. So I gotta move inside and invade my kitchen table. My kitchen table is too small. Maybe we can set up tables in my front room long ways, right? And everybody can work around it. But still, that'd be really packed. You get 10 people in there, that's when you get. But if you're a small club, could be good. Maybe you got a family that has a full unfinished basement. Perfect. You can put out tables in there. You can do movie night in there. You can have 3 banquet tables with crafts on them, right? That could be done. So, but you got to think about these things. You got to think, how are we going to do Pathfinders if we can't do it at the church because we only rent it for 4 hours once a week? Now, maybe the church lets you rent it for board meeting, or not board meeting, but prayer meeting. Let's say they let you rent it for prayer meeting on Wednesdays. You can do the Pathfinders on Wednesdays too. And when I was a kid, we did Pathfinders on Wednesday during prayer meeting. It worked out really good because a lot of the families would bring the kids, drop them off, and go into prayer meeting. And we would meet in the gym and have Pathfinders. That was pretty good. So that was very workable. So that's an option if you haven't thought about it yet, is if your church is renting the building any other time besides Sabbath, you could probably work that in there. Not all denominations do a midweek prayer meeting. Or maybe they do theirs on Tuesdays and you do yours on Wednesday. It's a little ingenuity there could help you. There's no reason, there's nothing set in stone that prayer meeting has to be on one day or the other. I've heard churches do on Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The point is to have a pick-me-up in the middle of the week. So, if your church does a prayer meeting, that might be a good time, right? But you need to have this talk with your church. Your church needs to understand the pros, the cons, and the benefits of it. So, that's what your church needs to discuss this amongst yourselves. Now, how about the church, which is just in a little storefront, right? Your strip mall church. We got lots of churches like that around our conference, and I know there's some in other conferences like that. It's pretty common, right? You got to consider where we're doing our activities, and sometimes there's just not room for them, right? Your church is a greeting and 2 small classrooms, maybe 1 classroom and a fellowship hall, right? Or not fellowship hall, a sanctuary. There's not even a fellowship hall, right? There's no fellowship hall. I've been to churches where literally the chairs are, the sanctuary is the fellowship hall. Like, okay, we set the chairs this way for church, and we're done. All right, move the chairs in rows this way, bring out the tables. Now we're a fellowship hall. Oh, and before church, it was Sabbath school. We had this little divider thingy, accordion thing. We pull across the room, and there's Sabbath school here and Sabbath school there. All in one room, everything, right? That's what your church can afford. That's what you work with. That's what you do. be like, how can we do Pathfinders in such a situation? Like, okay, we can move it all out. Sanctuary slash fellowship hall slash classrooms is now Pathfinder room. Yay! But it's not that big, you know. It only holds, maybe sitting, it can hold 20 people or 30, right? Let's say it holds 30 people sitting. But you remove all those tables, that's not enough room to drill in march, games, activities, or anything. You probably can do crafts and stuff, which is good. Your AY classes can be done. But how are you doing other activities, right? A lot of times, a good Pathfinder club usually has lots of activities. It can be a problem. So you got to come up with some creative solutions. Now, the first thing I will bring it out is, if you're thinking that is where all your Pathfinders is going to happen, you've limited yourself already. I would say plan more off-site location stuff. All you have to do at the beginning of the year is say, hey, you know, we're going to do every other week at the park, 3 blocks down from the church. The board looks at your proposal, they approve it, everybody knows that's how when your church meets. Now in the park, you got a lot of room. You can drill and move and play games. You can bring some tables, some pop-up things. You can do a lot of stuff in a park. Do a lot of outdoor activities, and you can really, you know, get out a bit. That solves a lot of problem right there. You don't even have to rent the park in most cities. You can just first come, first serve, and you're good to go as long as you don't monopolize the whole park. That is a good way of doing it. Now, some of our very southern cities might be like, yeah, we ain't going to no park. It's 100 out here. Hear ya. Might not want to come out either myself. There's things you can do. I would recommend go up. A lot of Pathfinding gets better when you are out doing stuff. I highly recommend get away from the church more often. Go, you know, drive out of town. Have the kids do a sack lunch after church. Drive out to somewhere. Go up into the hills. You know, in most areas, in not too long of a drive, you can get out of the desert up into some pretty nice terrain. Maybe the Vegas clubs. I'm not certain how long it takes to get to Mount Charleston or some of the other recreational areas, but it might be a little far. You need to find a place where you have room to do stuff, or plan on an alternate timetable. There's always going later in the evening on a Saturday night. You know, you don't have to stay up late watching the Late Show. Why not after dinner do Pathfinders and do Pathfinders in the evening when it's less crowded and less hot, and you find a nice open spot. Maybe a nice park in the evening wouldn't be too bad. Depends on where you are. You might have curfews you have to look for and stuff. But these are options. I'm not saying they'll work in your area, but they're worth looking into. Church member of large basements, again, great one to do. The important thing, though, of course, that we all got to remember is safety and accessibility. You got to be aware that doing people's homes have safety issues. Also can have accessibility issues, like let's say you have a member in a wheelchair. If they can't get into a house where you guys are doing the meetings, that's not good. You need to think about, you know, if your club doesn't have anybody with physical handy, you know, drawbacks. You're like, okay, we're all good, but what if a new one joins? Now what are you going to do? You can say she can't be part of Pathfinders because your club doesn't have anywhere to meet where there's no stairs, and she's in a wheelchair? You have to think about this. But maybe her family has a nice unfinished basement and she has one of those chair lifts that gets her up and down, so maybe take it to her house. But being flexible mentally about where you do Pathfinders will help you with these questions, because you know, I had one lady, she like, we have no church to do it, we can't do it anywhere. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do it anywhere? She's like, well, our church, the one we were renting, had a fellowship hall and we could do it in it now, And the new one we're renting, we lost the lease on the other one, doesn't have a fellowship hall. We have nowhere to do Pathfinders. We can't do it anymore. I'm like, you got to be more creative. You got to think about what you have, what church members have, who has a home which is safe. Do they have enough parking? Is it a neighborhood which parking is safe? I visited a family, one of our churches, and I parked on the wrong side. No, you can't park there. I'm like, I didn't want to block the house so other people could come. Oh, no, sir. You need to park right here, right in front, right exactly here where we can see your car. I'm like, why? Like, well, they'll steal everything out of it. I'm like, what? Oh, my. Not a great place to do Pathfinders, apparently. But I was just visiting them for lunch, so it wasn't a Pathfinder deal. But we need to consider those things when we are thinking off-site and doing Pathfinders in a clever, different manner than what we usually would. Those are sort of the talking points I had. I encourage you guys to share things your clubs have done. Ways you guys have made it through when you didn't have a nice, big, old established church with a fellowship hall and a parking lot all to yourselves. When and how did you guys meet until you guys got big enough that you could invest in some land? So those are some talking points for you guys. Really work it out, see what can and can't work for your club, and if you have questions, feel free to email them to me or post them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. And from my fire to yours, this has been ESO Vernon, and hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next time.